Regardless of the ever-increasing prices of brand new trucks, buyers are still buying them. Why is that? Why are people overpaying for these expensive vehicles? Clearly, the value of a lot of these pickup trucks nowadays are constantly ever increasing. And a lot of that does is continually drag up the average transaction price. We're seeing increases in the last month, 2.2% month over month. And as well, we're seeing these constant increases year over year for the average transaction price of a new truck or full-size SUV. So with these increased prices that are blowing way past the average inflationary rates, why are people actually spending their hard-earned dollars on a pickup truck when you can find a lot of the same versatility in a smaller SUV or a smaller car?
And everybody knows housing's gone up, food's gone up, but cars, and that's the essential way for people to get around, to get to the jobs that they pay for all these things. But the cost of vehicles has gone up 20, 30, 40, even 50%, and in some cases a lot more than it was even 5 short years ago.
Why, in fact, are people getting sucked in, overpaying for these very expensive, what were once utilitarian vehicles are now much more? Well, let's take this from the top. I'll give you a few quick reasons why. I've summarized some thoughts about why people are actually spending this. Why not? Keep what you've got. Fix what you've got.
In light of all these beautiful trucks, I'd love to have one day, and we'll see. We'll watch for these prices and we'll continue giving you updates as to price adjustments. I mean, even when you see signs, we've all seen advertisements like this: truck month, 0% financing on select 1,500 models. Yes, they keep pushing their products and they're selling, but for how much? That's what I'd like to know.
Keep running the older vehicles, but sometimes you need a new vehicle. Well, how some of these manufacturers are getting away with pitching some of these vehicles to people, overpriced vehicles. I mean, I can give you lots of examples. Fords, Chevys, GMs, as well as Rams with very expensive price tags.
And Ford sales are doing as well too. They're doing fairly well, but they had to drop the price on the Lightning because the Lightning's not selling. They had to highly incentivize the Mustang Mach-E. And Ram is slashing prices. They were knocking off as much as $18,500 off the price of some trucks. But right here we have this beautiful unit. This clearly is a gorgeous little ZR2. It's a Chevy. I love the decals. And of course you got the red tow hooks here. This is a Duramax ZR2 and it's a half-ton. Beautiful. I love the looks of it. You've got the off-road rubber on here, all-terrain. Look at this beautiful Silverado. Nice backup cameras. This is a beautiful truck. But, you know, it's got a nice lift on it too. Actually, I've got a buddy who just bought one similar, not the ZR2, but with that diesel. This has the small Duramax in it. And how much is that unit going for? Well, let's take a look. Well, it looks like about $92,000 right there. Yikes. Trucks don't seem to be getting any cheaper. Ford's not doing any big discounts.
Well, let's face it. We know the ebbs and flows on the market. One major reason is a lot of these OEMs are a lot smarter than your average Joe. Well, at least they like to believe that. Or they have a whole army of people coming together, calculating, analyzing the market, and understanding just how much you're willing to pay for that truck, and then not a penny more. Well, no, I shouldn't lie. They're actually increase it even further. But what they do is continually study. When they're not selling as many vehicles, then they start pumping the incentives. They start hitting you with cashback programs, buying incentives, lower interest rates in-house, or as well just overall dropping discounts at the dealer level. There's all kinds of little tools in their arsenal to help them satisfy your whim or your thoughts of that, well, if only it was an extra few $1,000s less, well, we got a deal for you. They literally have an answer for every one of your questions. So it's just the idea of providing some of those big incentives at the right time to hit you just to get you in the door. Another reason a lot of you probably aren't aware of this is there's literally no competition. Yeah, the US back in the 60s introduced something called the chicken tax, which really represented more of a retaliatory measure. And it added 25% to the price of any foreign truck that coming in overseas. Vehicles like Isuzu offered great little affordable pickup trucks that were reliable, easy to drive, and ultimately satisfied the needs of the buyers. But then the US went and imposed this hard chicken tax to protect the big three. Ram, of course, specifically GM, Ford, were in a position now where they could pretty much produce a substandard product, charge as much as they want, as long as they were still priced in a spot. They were still relatively competitive, and they were all playing and gambling within their own little sphere of influence. That kept them much more competitive. It was almost a monopoly. And how do you answer the question about Nissans and Toyotas? Well, they're in our market. Yeah, absolutely they are. but they have to build their vehicles on American US soil, and as well they have to employ US people, as well as many parts that are manufactured by some of the other manufactured local products like GM. Have you ever seen a General Motors radiator in a Toyota? I have. So what you're finding now is this chicken tax is just enough to keep the foreign import market out of the game, and just continues that monopolization, allows these big three to just continually drive the market, push as much as the market will bear, and not a whole lot more. Another little tricky tactic a lot of these dealers have been coming up with is extending your loan term. I mean, back in the day, it was very common to take a loan out for 36, maybe 48 months. 3 or 4 years was pretty typical. And now what they're doing is grossly extending that out to months almost as far as 84 months. That's right, 7 years to pay off your new truck. Well, by then the vehicle's worn out, clapped out, and pretty much almost ready for the junkyard, especially if you're using it regularly, daily use, and particularly in a work environment. These are trucks after all, they're made for work. So by the time you're done paying your loan, you're so far underwater, you've paid so much interest, that's literally the vehicle's just simply not worth it anymore. But they're doing it for the sake of keeping those monthly payments to the bank down. I mean, it sure looks a lot better to pay $600 a month than it does to pay $1,900 a month for your car payment or truck payment, doesn't it? But that's what's going on, and a lot of these OEMs have figured that out. The worst part is the dealers are in cahoots, and the whole organizational structure is designed in a which way to continually driving that traffic, to stimulate the economy, to get people like you and I in the door to pay that $800 a month, keep it under into our monthly household income budget, but barely. And that's the sad state of affairs. It keeps us all with this horse blinders on and this perception that we're actually paying less than we really are. You always have to ask yourself, what's the out the door final price of this vehicle? Give me the cash value of this vehicle. Don't ask for monthly payments, because they always try to fit your monthly budget, and they'll do so by asking you first, how much can you afford monthly? And then they'll always extend out your loan term just to fit your monthly budget and sell you a new truck. That's nonsense, and that gets you in a real rut. Another problem is, obviously with the high elevated prices of these brand new trucks, means that to find a good quality used truck is going to be equally difficult. So what you're going to be stuck with is a relatively well-maintained, low mileage used pickup truck is going to command top dollar. So a lot of people look at it and say, well, here's a 3-year-old truck, maybe has 40 or 50,000 miles on it, but they still want 90% of the value of this new truck. I might as well just go buy a new truck.
Now, the only way to keep things affordable on the purchasing front is to buy something like this. This is a high mileage truck. We're looking at a Ram that has about 380,000 kilometers. Look at it. It's all rusted out. You have to buy a truck that's all rusted and it's ready to fall apart. Look underneath. The actual emergency brake there is all hanging loose. And clearly, this is a used and abused vehicle. You can actually see the cable hanging down below. So everything is worn out, clapped out, rusted out, and just the kind of vehicle about most average Joe can buy these days, because they can't afford a proper, good, late model, quality, low mileage vehicle like this.
But do you realize you're also tacking on extras, extra warranties, extra costs, extra floor mats, sometimes paint protection film, and some of those extra protective components that the dealers try to pitch to you means that you're usually paying more. Extra tire levies, taxes that are sometimes included only on the price of new vehicles and not so much on used vehicles, as for example GSTs in some applications, luxury taxes if you exceed $100,000. There's a lot of applications of extra fees when you're buying new versus buying used, so sometimes they don't always see those numbers, but at the end of the day, some people just look at it and say, well, if I'm paying 80 or 90% of new for this used vehicle, I might as well just buy this brand new one and be done with it. There's another reason that I've come up with is a lot of pickup trucks are really built more heavy duty. Some of them are built for off-roading capacity, and some of them just feel like they're meant to hold up a lot better. I mean, a lot of the smaller SUVs, you know, for example, like a Lexus RX, isn't built to the same capacity as a GX, which is built on more of a steel construction frame with a body slapped on top, versus a unibody, which is built more like an RX, which more of a car or a minivan platform, means it's nice to drive in the city, but it's not going to tolerate the off-roading duty. So trucks like the TRX 1500 Ram, or the F-150 Raptor, or even the TRD Pros and some of the TRD products coming out of Toyota means that a lot of people just like to have something that feels more heavy duty, tougher suspension, bigger, beefier tires. Maybe you don't always go off-road, but when you want to hit those off-road patches, you're definitely got a truck that can handle the duty, and it doesn't feel like it's going to rattle itself loose anytime soon. So sometimes people just like that peace of mind having a heavier duty truck But that all comes at a cost, and people are willing to pay for it. There's another reason that I've come to think of is that a lot of these pickup trucks have now literally become a luxury item. While a lot of you viewers are out there saying, I just want something simple, easy, crank windows, robust drivetrain, regular cab, something that I can do my work duties with, that's a big part of the population.
And looking online here, I literally found the cheapest pickup truck that they have on the lot. It's even marked down. It's a 2023, and here it is. It's a Ram, and clearly as basic gets. This, let me give you a quick demo and explain how much this is actually marked down. Here we have a long box, not a particularly good looking truck. This one here is the Ram 1500 Classic. We got steel wheels on there, plastic front bumpers, plastic front grille, and it's very basic, which is what a lot of people that's all they want, just to do basic work. You have a basic mirror, and of course plastic handles, plastic top. Well, if you want basic, this is going to be basic for you, because even inside it has a very basic layout. You've got plastic seats, plastic floors, and basically you don't have the big infotainment system. This is a very, very basic pickup truck all the way around. And so what does this unit go for? With the base engine V6, this actually has crank windows, plastic everything, as minimalist as you can possibly get. It was originally a 2023 marked at...
But there's still a big part of the population that's looking for luxury. And if somehow they justify and say, look, I can have my luxury vehicle, I can have my off-road duty, I can have the capacity to haul the kids, the boat, and throw a bunch of junk in the trunk and do it all with one vehicle, the pickup truck sort of seems to answer that.
Here's a great candidate right here. Let's take a look. We have a Dodge Dually 4x4 as we see, and of course this is a limited, very large and in charge. You get this great little decal right there. Of course you can tow a lot with this. This is a Dually 1 ton, clearly. The deep wheels, the big flares, and of course this is a great looking unit. Big mirrors, and this is the 3500 HD as you can see right here, and it gets the old Cummins turbo diesel engine. But these don't come at a cheap price tag. Let's take a quick look and see how much. Well, right here, Monroney sticker, this is a Ram 3500 limited crew cab night edition vehicle here, 4x4. Lots of different options. As you can see, you do have sunroof up in there. You do have a lot of great details, the bigger screen. This is a beautiful truck, but the price, $121,000. As you can see right there, folks, 121 grand. That is a significant amount of money.
So now a lot of these pickup trucks like the Denalis, the Limiteds, you name it, they're all coming out with their own unique badges, but a lot of them have leather interiors, heated cooled seats, full-size panoramic sunroof, heated electric power, everything. And so now people are saying, I can literally buy that. I can buy something that satisfies all needs. I don't need my Cadillac car. I don't need my Lincoln vehicle. I can buy this truck and it has all those features built into one. But those features start adding up costs. So it's not uncommon to find a fully loaded half-ton pickup truck by Ram costing you $100,000. A Denali half-ton costing you $110,000, $115,000. A Ford F-150 Limited can cost you $110,000. You see the process where we're going here? They're all getting very expensive if you want those extra luxury add-ons. But people somehow justified in their own minds that they need that. Ultimately, cloth seats, a reliable engine, and basically something that's cheap and easy to service and maintain as well as insure is ultimately what we really need. The rest of it is a bit more of a want. But there's enough people with that want that drives the prices up, and is doing so, that drives the MSRP up as well.
$50,000? Yes, it's now marked at 38 grand. $38,000 you can get into this. Now, well, that sounds like a lot of money on the US side of the border, Canadian side of the border. 38 grand, you get in there, you wheel, you deal, maybe you get a few bucks off, maybe $35,000 plus out the door costs and GST, you're back up to 40 grand. That's basically what it's gonna cost you to get the most cheapest basic pickup truck that Ram has to offer.
Another reason I can think of is really comes down to power hungry vehicles and people. And a lot of people want the big numbers. If it says a big horsepower number on paper, that means it's good, right? Yeah, it's good, it's tough. So unfortunately, that comes at a cost. And people that are just looking for a break and want a good deal aren't always necessarily the same buyers that want that 500 horsepower all-terrain TRX truck.
$100,000 Dodge Ram or Ram pickup truck. This one's a sport. Look, even the logo's on crooked. Look at that. It kind of goes up. Definitely the quality control is a factor here. And yeah, this has some aftermarket wheels on it. It's a beautiful looking rig. This one here has...
We think of the original 4.7 V8 by Toyota back in the day with a measly 240 odd some horsepower. And now you're looking at the latest and greatest twin turbo V6 by Toyota is pumping out well over 400 ponies, but it comes at a cost. Reliability, durability, longevity, and as well as cost. Naturally, insurance costs are going to be higher as well, but that's where it's headed. My old 4.7 liter V8 in the Ram is nothing to write home about either, but I'm okay with it because it still hauls the boat and the trailer and the family and the kids, and I got to take a trip to the dump, and it does all of that because the cost of living crisis is real.
The buyers aren't there, interest rates are climbing, inflation's climbing, and yet these manufacturers are buying new trucks and loading up their car lots, so they have lots of inventory. Why is this happening?
And instead of me spending $80,000 on a new truck, I know a lot of you out there are like me that have decided, you know what, if I can't find a low cost, effective quality vehicle for an affordable dollar today, I might as well just keep running what I've got because it runs just fine. So I'm going to just do that.
And of course, with all of that said, in light of all these beautiful trucks, I'd love to have one day.
But there are people that want that hot rod new truck with the big numbers on paper, and that's what it costs to get that new twin turbo, the R&D to get that new drivetrain, that punchy transmission, as well as some of the new technology means that the prices continually rise, and the rest of us have to pay for that.
I mean, look at this beauty right here. What do we have? A Ford F-150. This one here is an XLT, as we see right here, XLT. And we're looking at the sticker price of this vehicle, and it's a 23 model year. It's an F-150 Super Crew. As you can see, you have the full-size doors, but XLT isn't not. It's kind of middle of the road, lower end. And what we're actually looking at is a sticker price of about $76,000. And while there's a few options and features, it's a pretty standard looking rig.
And another big reason why I found that a lot of people are overpaying for a lot of trucks is they want other conveniences. Now, I was on the car lot the other day and I was looking at some Rams, and they had a whole host of sports and big horns and all kinds of different versions, lifted up all-terrain tires, 4x4s, short box, like all of the technology, the big horsepower, the Hemis, the E-Torques. But then I stumbled across this little gem at the end of the car lot, and it was a small little long box, regular cab, had crank windows, rubber floors, plastic vinyl seats. Looked like a very simple truck, and it was a lot less money than the rest. It was listed at $38,000 in a land of trucks that cost $70,000 or $80,000 or $90,000. It felt like a breath of fresh air because it was a simple truck. But a big reason why trucks are getting so expensive now is a lot of people are treating them as family haulers. I too, even my Ram, my 2003, I have a crew cab. So it's got 4 doors. I can haul 6 people because the center in the front actually flips up, and it actually has 3 in the front, 3 in the back, and I can haul 6 people around in comfort. Now, a lot of vehicles nowadays, they'll just put that nice fancy console in the middle, but at the very least, you've got vehicle space for 5 people. And a lot of people like that family hauling capacity, and it's that extra cab, the extra space, the extra chassis and length, and usually bigger engines to go with, and of course extra technology that goes with that. Usually they package it all up, continually drives the price up. So if you want all that extra space, capacity, versatility, and family hauling capabilities, people are willing to pay for that. But when that cluster of people over there are willing to pay for that, it continually drives up the demand, and in a world of supply and demand and capitalism, we're going to find natural increases. Even what that does is drags up the base model vehicles. That base model at $38,000 shouldn't be at $38,000. That truck should be at $22,000, but it's not, because all the other trucks have escalated so high that naturally they're going to pull up, even the bottom feeders. So this is why people are spending way too much on these expensive trucks, and you got to ultimately ask yourself the question. In lands now, we're starting to see vehicles coming knocking on the door from China called BYD with a lower cost-effective hybrid drivetrain, or we're looking even the more popular Ford Maverick with the hybrid technology have become a much more popular choice because people don't necessarily need to go all in. They just like some of the versatility, but don't want all the cost. So they're willing to take that on a hit, spend half as much, and get 90% of the versatility that they would out of a full F-150.
And so while not everybody wants a $200,000 pickup truck like this beautiful Shelby, a lot of people are actually looking for vehicles like this. We're talking about the Maverick. Here we're looking at an XLT version of the Maverick. And a lot of people are just good with that. And that's actually contributed to the fact that Ford has seen a 37% increase in electric in hybrid vehicles in the first quarter of 2024. This is the major contributing factor to the growth of Ford in this last quarter of this last couple months. So clearly it seems like Ford has figured something out. They've definitely brought a lower end vehicle to the market to fill a gap that used to exist with full-size pickup trucks.
People are also making choices like I to continually fixing the old truck, keep it running as long as physically possible, and that's just how we keep it real and keep the cost of living down for those folks that don't have all that expendable cash and don't want to spend $1,800 a month on a car payment. We just keep it real. But in light of all of these very expensive trucks, you want to check that video out. Some people are almost paying the price of a mortgage to pay for their brand new trucks. They've become so cost prohibitive, almost 200 grand for a top trim Shelby F-150. Hope to see each and every one in the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.